Clinched Up with Jesse Diaz, episode 7. Welcome back, guys, to Clinched Up. We got 3 guests today, but before we get into that, I just want you guys to subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. It does a lot for the algorithm. Also, I have TikTok, Facebook, we got Instagram, we got everything. The link should be down below in the bio. Find that link tree. It has everything and everything clinched up. American Muay Thai. But big weekend for the fight team at Strike, the gym I fight at. We went to the WCE fights in Milpitas, California. Unfortunately, my teammate Nashi, she wasn't able to fight because her fight got canceled last minute. The girl came in overweight. It sucks, but we've been so lucky and spoiled that we haven't had to deal with this. This is the first time we actually had to deal with this, and it happens all the time in fighting. So it's the first. Probably it's going to happen again down the road, but when your whole entire fight, this is probably the biggest crowd that we had for our gym go, and it had to be this one where the girl backed out. But it was fun. It was fun seeing everybody in the fight community and seeing Muay Thai fights, and just being around the fight game. I miss it. It's been so long, and things are finally getting back to normal that it feels like home again, right? And thank you to everybody that said hi. I live in Los Banos, California, and I'm just my house to the gym. Don't really do anything else. I only see people from the gym. So seeing people outside of the gym that are in the Muay Thai community coming up to me and telling me that I'm doing a good job and all that stuff, it goes a long way, because I really think, like, I don't know what people are going to think. I didn't even know people listen. So, but it was cool. I actually had my first experience with a fan coming up and saying hi. That I didn't know him. I think I only knew him from the internet, and he came up to me and said hi. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm awkward as hell, and he told me if I wanted a picture. I was already like just acting all awkward as it was, and he asked for a picture. And you know how the normal person, they do a picture, they go like this, and they put the arm over the shoulder. If you're listening, you can't see. If they put the arm over the shoulder, and then they do like a hang loose or a fist, the typical fist for the picture. Well, I didn't do that. I decided to go underneath the arm and go grab his hip. Right when I did that, I knew right away. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And I grabbed it back. I'm not used to those situations, right? And I was already awkward as hell when people come up to me and say hi, but it's something I gotta get used to. It's easy to talk to a camera. It's not easy to talk to people. But it was fun, and thank you to everybody that reached out. But today's guests, we have Bazooka Joe. Can't even get his name right. Joe Stripling. Joe Bazooka. Well, I guess Bazooka Joe Stripling. You guys, I'm a big fan of this guy. If you guys go check out his fights, he's like the Roy Nelson. The best way I could describe him is he's like the Roy Nelson of Muay Thai. This guy gets hit with blows and still keeps walking forward. And you always think he's going to be the one that, like, looking at the body types, you think that he's going to be the one gassing out. Every single one of his fights, the other guy is gassed out. Shredded, buff guys, and they're the ones gassing out. So it's awesome to see. He's one of my favorite fighters right now. He has a fight coming up. That's another announcement. Lion Fight just announced their next card. Bunch of heavyweights. But he has a fight coming up. And that is going to be against Warren Thompson. So, and let me see the date for that. That's a 3 title fight, 3 title bouts on the line. It's going to be August 27th, 3 title bouts. The main event, Stephen Walker versus Lyndon Knowles. Steven Walker, man, like this guy is tearing it up. Knockout rates crazy, and just powerful dude, right? And excited for that fight. It's Lion Fight 69. You got Steve Walker versus Lyndon Knowles. You got Michael Triana versus Warren Thompson. Michael Triana versus Brendan Rafferty. Warren Thompson versus Bazooka Joe Stripling. Bazooka Joe came on the show. It was an awesome interview. Loved having him on. Also today, we got the owner of 8 Limbs Academy. 8 Limbs Academy, Charlie Cottone, if I'm saying that right. Charlie Cottone. And awesome dude. Owner and coach. And you guys, the more coaches I talk to, they're not necessarily the same, but their mindset is the same. Like, they all do a bunch of stuff. The really good ones are not they weren't necessarily the best fighters, or even, like, he really goes into detail. I have one clip where he goes into detail about being a coach, and it was awesome. It was awesome to hear, and just to hear his story. And without even knowing, this whole podcast, this episode 7, is Mid-East, the Mid-America, right? You got Philly, 2 guys from Philly, and you got 1 guy from Iowa. Like, they all live in the same area for Muay Thai, I'm saying. And the last one is Suitcase Kid. You guys, he's not necessarily Eugene Aubry. He's not necessarily a Muay Thai fighter. He was an MMA fighter, but I met this guy online. He ended up getting shot in the neck randomly. Some guy just came up to him and just shot him for no reason at all. And he ended up being paralyzed. I believe he's paralyzed from the waist down. And if you look at his page, it first came out that he needed GoFundMe for his medical bills and all that stuff. But he ended up, he's going to get stem cell surgery, or stem cell, I guess, stem cell procedures. And he's going to Colombia, and I just wanted to give him a shout out, you know? So he doesn't give up. The kid is awesome, man. And we go into him commenting for fights coming up. And I'm going to have him on just to break down fights, and he's actually a cool dude. And it's crazy. That's what the pandemic did for me, is I started meeting people online because we couldn't meet each other in person, right? And yeah, but I had an awesome weekend. So I got 2 things from the weekend that kind of stood out. The performance for Muay Thai. I wasn't there for MMA. For Muay Thai. Yannet. I forgot her last name. I believe it's either, I don't know, Yannet, but it's just basically YAHNET on Instagram. She fights at a AKA, and she tore this girl up. Like, I saw Yannet at TBA's, the tournament, and she ended up losing in the first round. I think, like, from the fights I've watched, like, she did a lot better in the fights. She was just different in her other fights. But then cut to a month later at this event, holy shit. A lot more patient. Pieced this girl up in the clinch. Like, the TBA, she was just coming forward and then clinching up, and then not really. It wasn't as active she was in this fight at the WCE. Like, this was amazing. Like, she just was in and out of the clinch, and then every time she was out of the clinch, she was scoring points, and it's just a complete domination. So my hats off to her for that fight. It was pretty crazy. So this guy out of, I believe, Gorilla, I forgot what his gym was called, but his Instagram's Geo Junior _ This kid was fighting a guy out of the Smash Fight Team, and the guy out of Smash Fight Team, I've seen him fight before, and was a really good fighter, you know. I also saw him at TBA's. Really good fighter, and I haven't really seen Gio fight before. And he was kind of getting like, he was the first 2 rounds, he was kind of like losing. I believe like he was losing the first 2 rounds. Third round, out of nowhere, throws it, like lands a spinning elbow and drops the guy from Smash Fight Team, and it was just, it ended up being a draw, but it was just like, it was a good fight. Like, it was a good showmanship of heart. You know, he didn't give up, but it was a really good fight. There was that one, and then you got you have Kevin. I don't know his last name, but they call him Kevin the Goat from the Resistance. And Kevin Sure. Sorry if I'm messing that up, Kevin. But he had the walkout. Great performance. Great performance. And I know he's been training a long time and hasn't had an amateur. He finally had a debut. Went up 10 pounds. Dominated the fight. But his walkout was awesome. He came out in prison attire. And I didn't see if they had cuffs on him, but that was awesome. You know, some people don't like that, like showmanship. It's showmanship. It's not a cocky thing or an ego thing. It's showmanship. Fighting is a showmanship. It's more of you have to put on a show for spectators. You can't just come out, and there is being respectful, right? It's not like he came out and was talking crap and all that stuff. He put on a show. Like, I love it. I love stuff like that. And that's what separates a lot of fighters is being able to put on a show and then do, because that puts pressure on you, right? To walk out like that. You're the only one walking out like that. And that puts pressure on you to fight the way he fought. And he did a good job. He won the fight, even though he came out with a walkout that was just over the top, but he basically won the fight. You can't really knock him for that, and I think it was a cool walkout. He came out in prison attire, and it was dope. But I wonder what he does next time. But yeah, sorry if you're not a local California Muay Thai fan, but that was the event I went to, and then we went to this place called Giorgio's in Milpitas, California. If you guys ever are not Milpitas, in San Jose, see, living in the Bay Area, we have some of the best. I don't live in the Bay Area, but being by the Bay Area, I believe we have some of the best food in the world. And Giorgio's, that place is bomb. And I didn't eat like pizza or the heavy pasta. I got a fight in September, so I'm not going crazy. But I had the salmon and a little bit of rice. Holy crap, that salmon was amazing. But seeing everybody else eat, that's what sucks, man. Everybody else was eating pizza. They had their famous sausage bread. Jesus, I love Italian food. I really love Italian food. And the pizza looked bomb. What's funny is my daughter, we're at a Italian restaurant. Some of the best calzones in the Bay Area. Some of the best pizza in the Bay Area. And what does she order? She orders fucking chicken tenders. And it's been like that since she was a kid. Or since she was a baby, right? Since she was younger. Everywhere she goes, it's chicken and fries or chicken and vegetables. And it's kind of like cringy for me because we're at some of the best food places in the world, and you're getting chicken tenders. It's all right. Not even chicken fingers, right? But it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But yeah, that was a cool event. That was the only fight announcement was Lion Fight for Muay Thai that I seen, and there wasn't that much else. Oh, also, Muay Thai basically, I guess Muay Thai got acknowledged as a sport by the Olympics. So we're not, the Muay Thai is not in the Olympics yet. It's getting considered. There you go. Considered. And I guess that's a huge step. But at the same time, like, I know everybody's posting and everybody's saying like, oh, that's an awesome thing for Muay Thai. Like, ask yourself, like, are you going to watch? Do you even watch the Olympics? I think anybody 40 and above watches the Olympics, you know? But anybody younger than that, I think kind of stays away. The only person that I remember watching the Olympics growing up was my mom watching the skating. But everything else, like, my generation never watched the Olympics. I don't think so. Like, it's not like we went to school or it's not like we're even in my 20s. I don't remember anybody talking about the Olympics. People would talk about more about the World Cup than the damn Olympics. So I'm not hating on that Muay Thai's in the might be in the Olympics. I'm more hating on the people that are posting and sharing it and all excited, but then when the Olympics come and then Muay Thai's finally in the Olympics and they're not watching. Like, I'm going to watch, but that's because I'm a fight fan. Like, I watch everything from street fights to the professional fights. I watch everything. But it's more of like people don't watch. Like, it's going to be on there, but people are not going to watch it. Especially people under 25. They're not going to watch. They're not going to watch the Olympics. Like, it's just I'm talking about in America too. So I'm talking about just purely American people watching the Olympics. It just sucks. Like, it sucks. I don't think it's what it used to be. Like, if Muay Thai, there's a reason why they're adding all these sports, right? There's a reason. It's because no one's watching. So it's just, if there's like, all of a sudden they're adding all these sports, like, I don't know. Kids watch different stuff now. Like, you think about, like, I think about my daughter's age. They don't, like, she might watch softball, might watch one game, you know, but like, when it comes to Muay Thai being in the Olympics, like, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to watch, but I think all the people excited, I think 10% of them are going to watch. Really good, really good. You know what's going to happen? They're going to turn it on, and they're like, oh, cool, that's awesome, and then they'll walk away. But anybody under 40, I don't see them, unless they're crazy like me and they watch everything. But it's just sad, man. That's my opinion. I don't know. Am I wrong? Comment below. Yeah, let me know if you shared the Muay Thai that it's gonna be in the Olympics and you're diehard gonna watch it. Let me know and prove me wrong. You know, I want it to succeed. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me. But also, yeah, it was a fun event, and like, looking back, when I first started this show, like, I was worried. I was worried because I've only had like five fights, amateur fights, and it was kind of like, why should I be talking about Muay Thai? You know, it's. I think I'm finally getting out of that insecurity. I want to start talking about my opinion. Like, this is my show. Like, I'm doing the work, and I want to put out my opinion. I'm not saying that you're gonna agree with everything I say, but I need to stop being insecure and actually state my opinion on stuff, you know. And I'm finally getting over that. It's like, I'm just doing a show. Like, I'm not saying I'm the best Muay Thai person in the world. Like, I'm just saying, like, my opinion. Like, I'm in Los Baños, California, and I'm meeting all these people from all over the United States. It's kind of cool, you know. In seven shows, I met people from Philadelphia, Delaware, down south, from Texas, like Nevada. Like, it's just cool seeing different places, and it's opening my eyes, right? Because when you're training Muay Thai, you're just in your gym all the time, same gym, and you hear people talk about different people in the Muay Thai game, who's good, who's not, good coaches, not good coaches. You're on social media looking at people's mitt work. But you don't realize there's these pockets and places that are different great fighters, right? Like through this podcast, it's opened my eyes to like the different characters out there, the different styles. Like, because I'm sitting here trying to I'm sitting here looking for people to have on, and I'm looking them up and how their gym is. Like 8 Limbs Academy, like Charlie, the only reason I ended up messaging him because I saw him at the TBAs and I saw his fight gear, all his students' uniforms. They're dope, man. And you could tell they're inspired by like music. That's the way I described it. I don't even know if he said it was inspired by music, but that's the way I described it. Like you could tell it's inspired by punk rock, and ended up being he does like punk rock. He was a security, or no, he managed punk rock shows, and he was a skateboarder before he was a coach or even got into Muay Thai. So I guess I was right, and that's how I ended up hitting him up and then finding out like his story, and then I knew of his gym from a while ago because it caught on fire. Like guys got to listen to the episode, but thank you guys for reaching out. Thank you guys for coming to the show. Make sure to share, like, all that stuff. But yeah, but you guys tell me if you guys are gonna watch the Muay Thai, because we like, it has to be really like show interest, right? I think that's what they're doing to find out like if it's gonna be in the Olympics. I'm not for sure. Also, me and my wife were watching this new show. It's about hold on. Oh, so me and my wife were watching this new show called Big Timber. It's on Netflix. It's about these loggers. So people come in and they chop the woods down, and they pay people to do that, and then they go pick up these big ass trees. Why this would be interesting, I don't know, but me and my wife were just on it through the weekend, and it's a really good show. I love it. And I don't know. It's stuff like that. Like, what do you do on a Sunday to get away? Are you at the gym again on a Sunday? Like, I need to do something to just get my mind off of Muay Thai. Now that I'm doing this podcast, talking to people in Muay Thai, training in Muay Thai, coaching in Muay Thai, my whole life is Muay Thai. And sometimes I just need to get away from it. Like this Saturday, the whole day was Muay Thai, watching Muay Thai fights. And it's like sometimes I need to like zone out on things. I watch horror movies. I watch more fighting, crazy fighting. But yeah. And we're watching that. I usually go metal detecting. I didn't go because it's been so fucking hot. And it's just like, I hate it, man. Anything over like 95, 100. And we've been in the hundreds lately. Anything over 100, it's just like, this is stupid. I just want to stay inside all day, you know? But yeah. Yes. But that was my weekend. Thank you guys for listening. Again, share. If you guys haven't listened to the other episodes, I've had Kevin Ross, Bob Perez, Derek Lewis's coach, and Lauren Murphy's. And if Derek Lewis wins, I'm going to end up having Bob Perez on again. Hopefully. And then Jackie Bouton was on that episode too. So go back, look at that episode if you love this episode. Subscribe to everything. Give me a review on Apple Podcast. Reach out, guys. Yeah, that's it. I'll end it right there. Peace. Love y'all. Enjoy the episode.
Round 1, fight.
And did you fall in love with the coaching role, or is it something you had to really dive into and learn?
No, honestly, everything I had done was like almost like college. Like I studied the shit out of it because I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't groomed for it. I wasn't like, no one told me what to do. No one was like, here, this is how you take a person from first class, you know, someone who hops in the ring. And no one told me how to wrap hands. Like, honestly, I just kind of like studied. I figured out, I watched people that I liked. I asked a lot of questions. I went to, I went to the coaches clinic at CSA, and I got a lot from that. I've been going there for the last like 5 or 6 or 7 years or something like that. I really appreciate that. And I just really like just watched. I observed people I look up to.
It's crazy to hear you say that, and then watching your fighters. I saw your fighters at TBA, and also I seen that you had a girl go on to the USA kickboxing team.
Yeah, Janine.
Yeah, and it's just those are do you find it mind-boggling that said in the beginning you didn't really like see yourself
I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, not you don't know what you're doing, but you didn't see this road coming, right? Being a coach, all these accomplishments. Like, how does it feel to work that hard just studying and becoming a coach?
I don't know. I'm happy for the people. From the outset of the gym, Kate and I, one of our mission statements was to give people opportunities where we didn't. And that makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I can provide something for somebody who, you know, maybe wouldn't have gotten that. And I'm not just, it's not to say I'm trying to take responsibility, but it feels good to give people opportunities. Like Janine's going to Italy and for the Waco team or the Wacko team. It's pronounced Wacko. Pronounced Wacko.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. Okay.
Just change it. Waco.
Yeah.
Not Wacko. Come on. Sorry.
Okay?
It feels great to be able to give these people opportunities, and it feels cool to be part of their journey. I'm kind of happy to just, you know, take the back seat, and I'll do everything I can for these people. I'll do whatever I physically or emotionally can. And if, you know, what I do helps them get to these cool places, then awesome.
Awesome. And I talked to Derek Lewis's coach and Laura Murphy's coach, Bob Perez, and he talked about coaching, right? And he had a similar background as you, where it wasn't that much fighting. It's just something he dove into. And do you think coaches are born with this talent of leading people like this? Or is it taught? That's what I meant. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll try to explain it I'll try to give you two paths of my thought process of like how this happens. So most fighters, they spend their entire life in the gym, right? And they work shit jobs in order to like continue to compete. And, you know, if they go pro, they like hold pads and they teach at the gym, and their entire life is like this single trajectory. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm drinking seltzers here. We keep our gym fridge. I don't know if you can see it. This is a fridge right here, and it's stacked with tons of seltzers. So I drink seltzer all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're okay. You're fine.
So like, I think most fighters are on this trajectory, you know, and it's either like they're like the main path is like one day they kind of like take over the gym, or they buy a gym, or they open their own gym. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but they're kind of unprepared for these roles because they basically spent their entire life in the gym, not necessarily working at like, I don't know, working somewhere where you manage people or where you have a shit boss and you're like, I don't want to be like that shit boss. I'm gonna do everything except to be with like this shit boss. And there's so many things that mold you into like a leader, or they mold you into like a good coach, or like even just a good person. And I don't want to say that like a gym rat doesn't get that, but this wasn't my career path. You know, this is something that I didn't have to get into. This is something like I chose to get into it. My life wasn't determined. I wasn't on this path that was led to coaching or owning a school. It was something that I decided to get into with a background of management and graphic design and, you know, having decent people skills. And I ran production, and I ran like, I organized big groups of people in my past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And every coach that I've talked to, that good coaches have the similar background. I mean, you just talked about how you went to Kieran's coaching, the CSA coaching clinic.
Yeah.
Kieran's one of those coaches where it was I think he did security.
Yeah.
High level security. And
Yeah.
it's that's leading people, right? Like you're leading people. So, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you used to what?
I used to run a music venue, like a punk rock music venue. And at times there was like 700 to 800 people in this place. And so like I had to set up these shows, and I had a bunch of years of organizing hundreds of like rowdy psychopaths. And now,
yeah.
So now, like the fighters and my students are way less crazy, most of them, and it's a very similar skill set when you have to like wrangle a whole bunch of squirrels, Yeah. So like teaching a class is the easiest part of coaching. It's the easiest thing. Teaching is easy. Like running a good class is easy. Everything else, it's really, really difficult. And I believe that if you spend all your life fighting and not experiencing all this kind of tumultuous shit outside of fighting, you're missing those experiences that like will help you run a gym and coach like a ton of people. And so that was the one path. Sorry, like I said, that's like the one thing that really helps, right? Is that I had a background outside of Muay Thai. And then the other thing is, I think that you gotta like learn everywhere. You have to learn from all your experiences. And I was going to like business seminars and like Facebook advertising seminars. And even though a lot of it didn't apply to me, there was like ways for me to like learn how to bring it over to the gym. And I think if you don't constantly learn and you don't constantly educate yourself in more than just 8 limbs or your gym, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity to grow as a business owner and a coach.
That's awesome. I think your breakdown of it was probably one of the best I've like being a coach. It's awesome. Yeah. And going off of there's a reason why you guys stood out to me and why I was so like intrigued by your guys' gym was you just said that you did graphic design and then you worked at a punk show. What is your inspiration behind your logo, your merchandise, your uniforms? To me, I mean, I have a very small like I've seen a small amount of gyms so far because I've barely started my journey in Muay Thai. But your guys,
I'm so happy.
but your guys is the best I've seen so far. And I'm sorry to my gym, Strike Fitness, and I'm sorry, Coach, but I love punk rock. I love music, and I think you guys have that inspiration of music or something. I don't know. What is it?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I grew up in punk bands and playing music and touring. And I got into graphic design because I had to make the t-shirts for the bands. And I learned about that process. And then I was making t-shirts for this band that was like I don't know. They were getting bigger. And then somebody was like, hey, you can do this and make money. And I was like, what? So basically, this kid, Tim Simpson, he'll never hear this podcast, but Tim Simpson, I owe him everything because he was like, you can make money doing this, right? I was like, for that. So I went to school for like web and graphic design. And my entire aesthetic has always been kind of like a little fucked up and messy. But still kind of like clean. And that's what I did all through college. So everything I did in college was like screen printing and then cleaning it up and then doing wheat pastes of it and taking photos and then putting it on the internet and like making websites out of it and making, I don't know, like writing a song and putting it on the website. And it was always this like kind of weird mixture of medias. And I think because of that, now when I step to a t-shirt for the gym, I'm like, I can do this. I can like, I know how to,
Yeah.
I can do this shit. Here's some of our merch on the wall. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I see. I've seen your guys' jackets, and
This is our really amazing, huge pro shop.
This is what I was going to ask. How was it living in West Philly with the how was the punk scene out there? Because is your designs, are they inspired by music? That's what I want to know too.
I grew up writing graffiti.
Okay.
I was in this kind of cross scene, like this hybrid scene of like skateboarding, thrash, writing graffiti, hip hop, and like DIY life.
Yeah.
So basically coming up with this logo right here, you can't really.
It's it's 8, right?
It's an 8. I'm trying to find like it doesn't matter. The whole thing is like kind of like a hand style. And like I said, so I always kind of made things kind of like fucked up and then I made them nice. So what I did is I just kind of like wrote 8 limbs 7,000 times, like over like a course of like 3 or 4 weeks. And I just kept writing it and I kept writing it and I kept writing it and I kept writing it. And I found something that I thought looked sharp. And then I would basically, I put it into Illustrator and I cleaned it up. And then, I kind of came up with like a good graphic image. So I would say it was less punk rock inspired, but definitely like my subculture background. And that's what everything we I make, I think kind of looks like, something that someone who skateboarded their entire life wear or like played music their whole life. I feel like that's sort of the look I've always gone for with anything I've ever done.
Awesome. And the more I talk to coaches, they're all different, but yet all the same. They're like masters. They're not masters of anything. They're just, how was that saying? I just completely forgot that saying. I forgot it. But you coaches do a lot of stuff. They
fuck, man.
you've learned so many things. Like you're an artist, you're a skateboarder, you're graphic design. Like it's just, you're managing people. It's like you've done so much stuff, and it goes off of what you said.
I feel like I've lived a lot of different lives. There was a part of my life where I feel like every different part of my life has led me to be a better version of the thing that I am right now. And I'm being honed like in a completely different way because of my daughter right now. Like my patience is different. My like outlook on things is completely changed. Perspective is different. Like this is going to kind of sound weird, but like now I'm like, if our team would have done really bad at TBAs, it would have, dude, I would have been a train wreck for months. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a mess, right? But now I'm like, it's okay. Like as before, like now I have a daughter. Like everything is different. Like everything is different. Everything is different.
Kind of perspective
of everything has changed.
Yeah, and going off of my last question, how has Muay Thai changed in West Philly since you started Muay Thai, and then where's the direction going?
Hopefully, oh man. So, there's like, I don't know, maybe 10 Muay Thai gyms in Philly, right? There's maybe more than that, including like MMA. There's probably 10. And they're all kind of located in like this one area. And when Kate and I opened up 8 Limbs, we're like, this is where all those are. We're going to go over there. Like, we're just going to go as far away from the rest of those gyms as possible, just so that we can like emotionally and mentally and like physically just separate ourselves from everything else that Philadelphia had. And West Philadelphia has a pretty cool, like a hippie vibe. Like, there's a lot of like, I don't know, it's like the roots of radicals in West Philadelphia. And before we opened a gym here, I lived here on and off. So I didn't always live in West, but like I've lived on and off in West Philly. There's like radical bookstores and like radical coffee shops, and it's like that part of town, kind of the wingnutty part of town. Yeah. So when we opened in West Philadelphia, Kate and I walked around with clipboards before we opened up the gym and be like, hey, would you be interested in a Muay Thai gym? And like, we didn't get any feedback. People were like, what? Like, no one gave a shit. They didn't know what it was. There's another person trying to come in right now. Yeah. I'm gonna hide behind my desk.
Okay.
Legitimately, there's someone trying to pull the door open, but I locked it. I've got a big desk up here. They can't see past it.
Okay. It's the last question. It's all
good. So people, West Philly, like there was no martial arts here. There's some boxing gyms. There's a famous boxing gym called Schuler's, but there's nothing out here. So we were like, all right, we can go out there. And we kind of banked on like, there's 3 schools here. There's the University of Penn, there's Drexel, and there's the University of Sciences. They're all out here in West Philly. We thought we would like kind of like get a lot of that work. But basically, after we opened up, we found that there was like a need for martial arts, and people liked it. People really enjoyed it. We have a sick school, in a lot of different ways. We have a cool community. But it's not without a lot of work and not without a lot of effort. But I don't know. We occupy a very small part of West Philadelphia, and I kind of like it that way. I kind of like feeling like I'm staying in my lane in this part of town. And I don't think I need to, or our gym needs to like expand out past that. It's like we have a nice lane in West Philly. We have a nice lane in Pennsylvania. We have a nice lane in the United States of America. And I'm just kind of like trying to stay on that path. And I'm just going to try to like do this thing that I'm doing right now really well. I feel like it to be a mistake to like make it bigger. It's just like, I want to do this thing that I got. I want to do it really well. So I don't want to expand. I don't want to make this bigger. I just want to do the thing that I'm doing right now in this town. I want to do it well. Cause like, it's enough.
Yeah. Well, I think a very sane person thinks like that. I think people that grow this huge, giant, like empire of gyms, you got to be be very egotistical. I'm not saying it's bad. You have to have this drive that nobody else has. Yeah.
I thought when we got shot out of a cannon. When we opened up the gym, we legitimately had 100 students within like a week.
That's crazy. That's insane.
It was insane. Yeah. And at one point we grew to about 400 something students. And we could barely, like people were like fucking flying out of the windows. Like we could barely keep people in. Yeah. And the pressure of that and the stress of that and just the kind of constant chaos of that made this gym worse. It made it worse. Like it was just way too much. And it was a lesson in ego. Cause like I wanted to help everybody and I wanted to do this for everybody. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I can do this. I can manage all this. And it's just like, I can't. Yeah. So now like I have a thing and I'm doing that thing better than I used to. And it's because it's smaller. We used to be a much bigger gym. And now I'm happy that we're like we're not small by any means, but we're like a
manageable gym.
Yeah. We had a fire. Our whole place burned down about 2 years ago. And
did you guys have a GoFundMe?
Yeah.
I think I might have saw that because that was when I first started Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We our gym. Well, the garage below us. We were above a car garage. They burnt. They had a huge fire,
Yeah.
and it
I
burned our shit. We lost our gym,
Jesus.
and that was at the pinnacle of like how big we were, and we had just too many students, and like the place burned, and then we lost like more than half of our students because we had to shut down for a long time. Um, excuse me. And then COVID happened. So like we kind of like the memberships were like fire and then COVID, you know, and now we're at like, it's almost like we're finally at like a manageable place. And it feels kind of shitty to say that because of what we had to get through to get here. But this is better.
Yeah.
This is way better.
Yeah. And that's awesome that, I mean, we're finally getting back to normal, how we used to be before COVID. And I think Muay Thai and martial arts in general has just exploded because of COVID, right?
Dude.
Yeah. Well, because of health. People want to be healthy.
Where are you?
Los Baños, California. I am in the middle between San Jose, Dublin, California, Sacramento. So the gyms around me are AKA, CSA, Alpha Male. So we're just in the middle of all these martial arts gyms.
Those are some heavy hitters, man.
Yeah. So there is a need for martial arts out here. And my coach Amber Pope, she used to train under Kieran Fitzgibbons. That was her coach.
Cool. I feel like I cut my teeth out there a lot. I learned a lot out there. I go for 3 or 4 days a year, and it's what I get out of that place it's awesome, man.
Well, I think
if you can ever do those clinics, you should go straight up.
I want to, and one day, but I think one day, looking back, after Muay Thai's big and huge in America, it is, but I mean bigger than this. Kieran's going to be looked at as one of the people that really invested everything he had into teaching people on how to teach and coach, and it's something that I think we take for granted.
Yeah. There's a handful of dudes that like you can kind of trace shit back to.
Yeah.
And he's definitely one of them. Have you ever talked to him?
No, I've talked to him, but not like, it was more of like, I'm going over there for training. I haven't talked to him.
Dude, I kick it with him once in a while. He's a crazy person. There's a guy like his thing is so big. His thing is so big. Like he has like 1,500 students. You might have more than that. And like 100% of the time, he's like this. What's that? What'd you say? Stop doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to be like, that's what it takes to have that type of success. And I just don't have that shit. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah. And that's the ego I was talking about, but it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's what it takes to grow that.
It's bonkers. Yeah. It's bonkers, man.
But thank you, Charlie, for doing this. I appreciate it. This last few minutes, or 1 minute or 2 minutes, I'm going to leave it up to you to say whatever you want to promote or anything you want to tell anybody. Anything.
Let's see. Being nice to people is really easy to do. And there's so few repercussions from being like polite and nice to people. It's hard to be a jerk. It's hard to be a hothead. And there's always repercussions from that. That's a hard lesson I had to learn. So just be nice, introduce yourselves to people, be open to suggestions. And I think that you'll have a good life.
Awesome. And I
Go
think,
Eagles.
What was that?
Go Eagles.
Yeah. All right. I'm from California. All right. But but I think if everybody learns what you just said in Muay Thai, I think Muay Thai could grow bigger than what it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. 8 Limbs, guys. 8 Limbs. It's just 8 Limbs, right?
8 Limbs Academy.
Eight Limbs Academy. Eight Limbs Academy, guys.
Round
Bazooka
2.
Joe.
Fight.
The Bazooka Joe that everybody needs in America, not the other guy.
Yeah, well, the other guy's from Canada, but I was professional first. So
And I love your fights, man. I got to say that right away. And you're fighting on they just announced Lion Fight 69. You're taking on Warren Thompson for the American Muay Thai. What is it? Is it Lion Fight Muay Thai title?
Yeah, Lion Fight North American title. Yep.
Nice. And watching your other fights, every time you think the person is gonna outgas you by look of the body, right? They look like they're gonna just outlast you, but every single one of your fights, at the end of the fight, the other guy is just gassed. And even in the Cody East fight, Cody East was gassed and hurting at the end of that fight. What you just said, you were at a track, you went to go do your track workouts. What is your conditioning like? How's your strength and conditioning?
I have some friends that are personal trainers at my gym. I have a personal trainer. Her name is Balanced by Emily. We do a lot of fight-specific core and balance work. And then on Tuesdays, I lift heavy. I used to train with a guy named Sean Leahy and another guy named Ryan Hikert, both hockey products. And they're like really good and like real big, powerful gentlemen. So that's like real, like my strength stuff that I used to work with them, and I do it myself now. And then I kind of do my own conditioning. I do a metabolic walk every morning, 60 minutes, just to get the heart rate up, keep the body loose. I feel like walking really helps keep the body loose. And then I do Muay Thai every day, at least once or twice a day. And then I add a conditioning here or there, depending on how I feel. A lot of kettlebell work is really, in my opinion, really good for Muay Thai. MMA as well, but like Muay Thai specifically, doing the right movements like you would do for your knee or for your punch, things like that. So I love conditioning. People don't look at me and realize that because I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
But muscles take a lot of oxygen to work. So I'd rather do functional stuff that makes me strong for the fight. I'd rather be the part than look the part, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I love it, man.
Thank you.
But another thing, it's not only your strength and conditioning, it's how calm you are, right? And I know that you trained in Thailand did you train in Thailand for a while, or was it just a short stint, or how long was it?
We went 2 times. I had a student make the WKA national team. I ended up fighting one time, so I ended up being like the coach for Team USA while we were there the first time. I trained a little, but it was mostly like me coaching. And then I went again to get ready for a fight. And that was just a solid, like almost 3 weeks of me just being able to train. And with my team, the Team Cottone in Pattaya, Thailand, had a really great time there, learned a ton. And my trainer's from there in America, through Eric Garner. So everything we do is from the mother camp, we like to say. So I don't deviate from Thai style very often, but when I do, it's got to be something spectacular. So. And
you could tell when you're fighting these guys that don't really have a Thai style, but they're fighting Muay Thai, you're just calm and collected and just picking them apart. And
I try to. I mean, that's been my style since the first day of MMA. Like when I first started fighting MMA in 2006, when I turned professional, like my first round of every fight I fought, I've lost. And then I usually pick up the pace second and third round. I really just love to read my opponent and see what they're going to do for a round or so. Except for my last fight, I started a little bit faster than I wanted, but my trainers told me to go for it, so I did, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, that fight was awesome too.
Too. Like you can't have a good fight without a great opponent. And that guy Terrence Hodges, El Jefe, man, that dude, he gets all the props in the world from me. He took a lot of punishment and dished out a lot of punishment as well. So I was super excited to get the win off that fight, and move on in the heavyweight tournament for the finals.
And your next opponent, Warren Thompson, how do you see that fight going?
Funny story is I used to watch Warren Thompson back in the day in Glory, and then he started thinking about fighting again, and a lot of us doing a tournament. So I actually reached out to him, was like, hey man, like we're going to do a tournament. Like there's no need to not try and fight. Let's go for it and let's see what happens. Maybe meet each other in finals. And we are now meeting each other in the finals. He's super good. He's a really nice guy, and he's super strong and super powerful. And he's got a really great gas tank for being how like a muscular he is. And I know he hits really hard. I do have a pretty hard head.
Yeah.
But I have a pretty hard head, and we'll see how we meet up in the ring here in a couple weeks.
And I was just telling my coach, I train at a gym called Strike Fitness, Amber Pope. I was just telling her that your fighting style, it's like your nickname should be called the Juggernaut. I don't know if you remember Juggernaut's superpower is like he takes damage, but he just grows and grows and grows. And that's like watching you fight. That's what happens. Like you take like 5 or 10 shots and all of a sudden you're just like, you shake it off and you just come with the hammers. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. But, my trainers hate it.
Yeah.
My head trainer, Eric, man, he's like, if you don't stop taking damage, bro, I'm gonna lose my mind. And then we have a student of mine, we call him Beefcake. His name's Mikey Sadlowski. He's my pad holder during the week.
Yeah.
And like even he's like, dude, why? In the gym, I don't take any damage. Like I'm slipping, I'm moving, I'm doing the right stuff. But then I get in a fight, it's like I almost feel like I have to get hit a little bit to like know I'm there and like to know like, all right, you gave it to me, now it's my turn to give it to you.
Yeah. And I see the shots that you take sometimes, and I don't understand how you don't get rocked. And I've only had 4 fights, and 5 fights, and my last one I was rocked pretty bad. And thinking of how I felt during that time, you must have a steel in your head because you come forward like nothing happened.
Yeah, I feel like too, like when guys my size throw everything on each punch or each kick or each elbow or each knee, like they're really making themselves more tired. So if my face can take some punishment from your fist and you're going to get tired because of it, then I'll take some of it. Also, like I'm like a Muay femur style fighter, and then when I get hit, I change to Muay mat. Like I'm very aggressive, and that seems to work out pretty well for me. Some fights I need to relax more. Some fights I need to pick up the pace more. So it's always learning and evolving for me, even being 30 pro fights in, like I'm always learning. So I think it matters. I think people stop learning and stop training when they're not fighting and they're not growing anymore. I see it a lot as amateurs, guys like stop training between fights. Oh, I have a fight coming up, I'm going to train again. It's like, well, you get better between fights and then a fight, you train fight camp for the fight. You know what I mean? Like for that specific person. So I've been training a lot, like outside of camp, which I don't really do a lot. And now I have been. I feel so good, so fantastic. Like my body feels good. My beard looks good. My haircut looks good.
Overall, just good.
Yeah, overall, just that guy right now.
And it's funny because like you're so like insightful on Muay Thai, and you have it down. You're very technical. How does someone from Iowa find Muay Thai? Like,
so I think so. Now that Muay Thai just got recognized as an IOC, like an Olympic sport. We're not in the Olympics yet, but they're going to look at us for the next few years and see how things are growing, how things are going throughout the world. I think it's going to open up more opportunities for Muay Thai, especially for guys who are just really good strikers. I know there's also a kickboxing guy recognized as well. Yeah. A lot of MMA guys from like Iowa, I would say, are mostly wrestlers. I think it's going to start opening up more. There's going to be a lot more trainers that are ex-fighters are like, you know what, it might be time to open up a gym now, or even like a boxing gym might have a guy who kind of did some Muay Thai and then he'll help out and then he'll start to train in Thailand and things like that. I think going to Thailand, going to the motherland and seeing how they train and how they do things really matters.
How did you find Muay Thai?
So I was training. I wrestled in high school. I did karate my whole life. And then I started fighting, doing jiu-jitsu, like doing MMA. And I had okay striking, but it wasn't like really Muay Thai. I had a trainer here in Delaware. He was just kind of old school, like Muay Baran style, like trying to break your limbs when you punch. Like It was tough. It was a tough transition to use that in the MMA. So I went to a fight one night. I need someone to wrap my hands, and True Eric Harner was there, coaching another teammate of mine, like a friend. He wrapped my hands, and then after my fight, he's like, "You should come up and train one time." Click, and that was it. We were doing MMA fights. Like I tell people all the time, like my last 10 MMA fights, I didn't do any jiu-jitsu or wrestling or groundwork at all. It was like, hey, I want to work on my Muay Thai switch kick for like the next 5 rounds. And I would just hit Muay Thai pads and like we would do rhythm stuff and like I fell in love with the culture and the sport, and I really give that all to like True Eric and all the team at Knock Muay Gym. Originally, like they were all just Muay Thai and not like MMA. There was a few of us that did MMA, but it really rubbed off on me. And the culture of it, from being like a martial artist my whole life, I think really pushed itself onto me. So, I mean, I study tape constantly now. I do all kinds of stuff and make sure my students have the best of everything I can give them. So it helps me grow as well as a coach and as a fighter.
So I just found out, and my mind was blown, that Iowa is a big state for Muay Thai because of the TVAs. How big? It's insane how big the TV is. It's the biggest tournament in America, and it's in Iowa. And like,
we just went for the first time this year. So like I make my guys train for a little while before we do like big tournaments or major competitions like that. So I had 2 guys do it this year, and it was eye-opening for me as a coach to see how many gyms actually did Muay Thai. Because in my little bubble, there's like Philadelphia, New York, Maryland, and then there's like me. I'm like this little guy. And there's no one else that does Muay Thai in Delaware.
Yeah.
So for me to go to TBA and see that, and then like see all the professional fighters over there, all the coaches, we actually had like, we call it TBA after hours. Like TBA would end at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night from the day, and all the coaches and trainers would stay behind and pro fighters, and we would train for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just because like we're all networking and want to grow from each other. So it was like super like eye-opening and really fun to go do that. We're gonna do it again next year. I'll have a couple more guys ready to go. So it should be fun. I'm excited. I was huge for Muay Thai, man. Like it was Dean Lessie, Dean Lessie, like super good. His son, the chef, Luke Lessie, said he's a phenomenal professional fighter. It's really blowing up. So,
Luke is a monster. Like he
I love watching that guy fight, dude. I used to watch him fight when I was like pro for many, many, many years. I'm like, who's this little kid coming up? What the hell is this? And then watching him now, like just ground this dirt on people is phenomenal.
And going, one of the last questions, the main event on that card is Steve Walker versus Lyndon Knowles. How do you have that fight going? I love Steve Walker. Steve Walker is one of my favorite like new fighters that I found out about. He's like he's somebody that needs to be promoted as that's going to be knocking out everybody.
Yeah, he's like the Jean-Claude Van Damme of Muay Thai. I'm USA through and through, so I'm gonna go with Stephen Walker. I just love Stephen Walker. Lyndon Knowles is super good. I've been watching his brother, Christian Knowles, who owns Knowles Academy in England. They have like Jonathan Haggerty, Liam Nolan, Alex Bergazigas, I think is how you say his name. They have like so many good dudes there. Like their gym is phenomenal. I've been watching Christian for a long time, and as a pad holder too, as a coach, like I love their style. Landon, super good. Landon lost last night for the super heavyweight WBC title.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I was super confused.
So he was already going to fight for that title before he signed the line fight. So they let him do it, but then he lost last night.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's okay to fight in a couple weeks, because that fight, I've asked for Landon and Steve Walker for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Because they're just so good. You know what I mean? And Steve ranked, I think, number 3 in the world. Landon's number 2 now. And then there's like Stephen Banks in Thailand, who's a buddy of mine. He's a great dude. He's like number 4 or 5. And I'm number 9.
Yeah.
Like USA is blowing up. And then you have dudes now fighting each other for belts that matter. The line fight and other promotions that we all want those belts. We all want to showcase how good we are, you know? So,
and when it, oh, sorry.
He gets in, who knows? if Lyndon beats him, I'm gonna fight Lyndon. Like that's the story. I would love to just even like experience a fight with Stephen Walker.
I want to see that.
I don't know. If we have to fight each other, we fight each other, but it's Muay Thai. We can be friends and fight each other and then be cool afterwards again. But Stephen Walker's super good, man. I love watching his style, and he's always evolving as well. From just being like super flashy to having like really good technical Muay Thai. Nobody knows that because he wins so fast. He's got really good Muay Thai, and his coach, Crew Bill, is like super knowledgeable as well. So I'm just excited to be in attendance that night. I fight, and then there's a fight between us, and then I get to go sit in the crowd and just watch those dudes throw down. And like, I'm super excited to just be there and witness greatness. And Team USA, let's go.
Hell yeah. And last question. I when I look up Muay Thai rankings and the world, I see the one like 20s, the 125ers, the 135ers, then you get to 160s, and it's all Thai or other countries, and then you get to like 190 or 185 or 190 and above, and USA. That's when you start to see USA start popping up. Like, do you think it's like we're heavier out here, bigger? Why do you think we're better at heavyweight in the bigger weight divisions than we are in the smaller weight division?
I think America is just a bigger country. We have a lot of people who are actually obese in this country. I am one of them. I'm just an obese guy, but I can fight. So
it's not obese. It's not obese. It's a dad bod.
When you look at Holland, they have a lot of really big guys who are ranked. In Poland, just big countries like that. When you get to the Thais, they're just a smaller culture. So between like 108 to 140 is all Thais. But we do have a kid in America. His name is Jaleel Barnes. He trains in Thailand. He will one day be a Lumpini champion at like 140, or Ranjadurnam Stadium champion. He's super phenomenal, super good. There's other people who fight in Thailand from America, like Henry Lee, who is phenomenal. Angela Chang, who fights. We have a lot of people coming up, man. Like, we're just catching up to the culture, and like, you got to give homage to the OGs who really like took this sport and like gave their life to it. Like my trainer, Crew Eric, and like Brian Popejoy from Boxing Works, Walter from Sayatong, LA, Crew Mark Delagrati from Sayatong, Boston. Like, these guys were fighting all over the world, and nobody knew that America had any like Muay Thai. And now we're starting to see it. Now we're starting to do it. So I think it matters. But us heavyweights, man, from America, there's something about us, my guy. Like, I don't know. Look at Derek Lewis, man. Look at Derek Lewis. He's just a big dude. He hits super hard and puts people to sleep.
Yeah, and I hell yeah, America. Right. And I can't wait to see you guys fight. You, Steve Walker, and in the Lion Fight. And I can't, like, Lion Fight has some of the best heavyweights out there right now. And
I believe so.
Yeah, so I'm thank you for doing this. I'm gonna leave the last moments for you, whoever you want to promote, whatever you want to promote. What do you want to say to the people? Anything you want to do.
I just want to thank you for having me on here today. I really had a great time. Sorry for pushing the interview back, but we made it work. I want to thank my sponsors, Muay Thai Gram. They're really promoting Muay Thai throughout the world and this country, in America especially. They jumped on board with me, helped me out, get me better at my social media. Knock Muay Legends. They make some of the best T-shirts for Legends. The percentage goes back to the Legends every time. They're actually making my signature walkout tee for this fight, so pretty cool about that. I have Fight City Bermuda. My friend Chuck. I met him a few times. He's just a really great guy. His team came through and wanted to support me in my title journey, and it really means a lot to me having another team support me, not just my team. And then my strength coach, Balanced by Emily, she really just gives me like hard, like making me suffer, but pay attention to my mentalness workouts while I'm doing my core and balance stuff. So I really want to thank her. I have a few other people who like give me like silent sponsorship. They don't really want me to call them out, but I really thank them as well. I'm just excited, man. I'm just excited for the opportunity for my fight. Excited to fight Warren Thompson. He's super good. I can't wait to just get in the ring and showcase good American heavyweight Muay Thai and come out victorious.
Hell yeah. And thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And I definitely need. Are you guys going to be shipping those shirts out? If we
so once the Knockboy Legends drops the logo, which I think might be a week from now, once they get that down, we're going to do a pre-order, and then you can pre-order on Knockboy Legends website, and then or through me. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. And then there's actually going to be some shirts in Fight Night that night as well. And then anything extra I get, I'll take back and I'll ship them out to people who would like shirts that didn't get a chance to buy them or whatever. So just be on the lookout for that. Stay on my social media, Bazooka Joe Strip on Instagram, on Facebook, Joe Stripling. I'm not on Twitter. Sorry. I'm on TikTok, but I'm just a crazy person. So I like watching weird TikTok videos. That's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to order one of those shirts. But thank you for doing.
I appreciate the support.
Thank you for doing this again.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
I've been wanting to ask this question for a while. Why the Suitcase Kid?
So it was a nickname given to me by my grandmother. So I didn't use it at first. But it was something where when I was growing up, I would move around a lot. So my mom would go to like different neighbors, just moving from house to house. So it made my grandmother upset. So she would say it in like kind of a negative way. It was more of a negative connotation. She'd be like, you and your brother ain't nothing but some suitcase kids because we're always moving. So I took it and made it into more of a positive, like kind of like my ring name and then remembering where I come from in a sense. So
it's kind of like a latchkey kid, right?
Yeah, you're just always on the move and on the go. You're not stable.
Yeah. You are a pro MMA fighter. And what's the gym that you trained out of?
I'm gonna keep it like 100% honest with you. I was kind of like a no bad almost, but I settled into my home base at this gym called World Class Mixed Martial Arts. I was basically coaching there, but I've trained all over. If you can think of, I've come to Cali and trained. I've just been around in my area, like Jersey, Philly, just bouncing around. So once I found a home base, because it was kind of weird for me because I had a pad holder that I really liked using, and then I had a jiu-jitsu coach that I used to train with, Rick McCulley, since I was 15, and so I had a staff, but they just weren't at the same gym. So I kind of like would find ways to incorporate them, and then go to these other gyms to seek out work.
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes do that. So. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's just mixed martial arts. You're from Philadelphia, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And your background, we first met each other not on the best circumstances, but an incident had happened where you were mugged and you were stabbed in the neck. Stabbed in the neck?
No, I got shot. So I got shot in the neck. Yeah, point blank range, and it wasn't even like a robbery or anything because they didn't want anything. It was just a random act of violence, basically.
Jeez.
They just ran up and shot me. But it had nothing to do with, they didn't want anything from me, so they didn't take anything. And I never met them. I didn't know who they were.
That's insane, man. That's crazy. And I started seeing your story and seeing that you're trying to get basically back to health. What had happened after you got shot?
So initially I was up for the whole thing. When I got shot, I already knew I was paralyzed. They ended up I got rushed to the hospital when the police on the scene arrived. They sent one squad car and they had to immediately throw me in the back, take me to the hospital. I already couldn't walk, and I already had weakness, like major weakness in my arms. So where I got hit was my T1, which is right before your C's. So it's a T1. So basically it was around here, like in the upper region of your chest, but right before your C's, which are all in your neck. So it affects your grip and just arm strength. So everything kind of like dropped significantly really fast, and that's what I recognized. Somebody actually came outside because they heard a gunshot So I called them over. They called the police. They threw me in the back of the paddy wagon, as I said before, rushed me to the hospital. When I woke up, it had to be, I was getting in and out of consciousness. And it took me about 10 days to understand where I was and what had happened, if that makes sense. They had to put me in a coma for a little bit.
So you were in a coma for 10 days, or were you just out of it for 10 days?
I was out of it for 10 days. I was in a coma. I can't tell you how long. It had to be anywhere from 3 to 4 days where they put me. It was more medically induced because obviously they just operate on my neck. I had a big hole in my neck. So they didn't want me moving. So if I had moved around or something, they want you to stay right in the same spot.
And they told you right there and then you were paralyzed. Were you able to move your arms at all?
Yeah, a tiny bit though. They were really drawn in. They got sucked in. It's kind of weird in my hands. They got drawn in to where I couldn't extend my fingers at all. I couldn't feed myself, couldn't open anything. So that's why it was real touch and go on how I was going to heal and how much I was going to actually be able to maintain. I'm the closest quadriplegic to a paraplegic, if that makes sense, where my injury was. But I could have been worse in terms of just not being able to recover, grip and strength in my arms. But I was able to push myself a little bit and get some of that back.
And now you're actually lifting a little bit of weights too, huh?
Yeah. trying to get in shape. I got a little cable system, little Tower 200 on my door and stuff. And it's just to keep my moving what I can, because you definitely need more and more strength in general just to move around and stuff, because you're basically just dragging your legs. So your arms got to basically be legs.
And what's the plan now? How far did the doctor say you could go to full recovery? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is, so I started a GoFundMe, as you know. You supported me big time. I ended up having T-shirts that helped raise me some funds as well. So I ended up hitting my goal, which is around about 50,000, and I am going to invest in this company called BioAccelerator. I ended up putting a receipt out so everybody could see at one point on my story, but it's a stem cell company. They're going to inject stem cells right into the spinal fluid. The whole science behind it is basically the spinal fluid is the only thing that passes the blood-brain barrier. So putting the stem cells into the fluid is going to cause the stem cells to go into my brain and then heal neurological pathways. So, and the plan is to push that to the max. I've already seen results of people being able to move their legs again, not necessarily. So no one's getting up and running 40-meter dashes or anything, but people are definitely getting back mobility, function, sensation, very, very big things. So what I plan to do is go through with that, which I start my treatment August 8th. I go out there and push that to the max, and the sky's the limit in my mind, but it's all touch and go. I have to see as I keep, progressing and pushing myself. But I believe that these stem cells are going to give me a major boost, especially how early in the process.
Who set that up? Who set the GoFundMe up and the stem cell? Who did the research? Was it just yourself or was it your family?
So my family set up the GoFundMe. My stepmom. It's unfortunate how society works sometimes when it comes to money and things. Like when you're getting insurance and getting help in the hospital, you have to be careful on how you word things and what you do, because an insurance company might come after you over the fact that you're trying to raise money to treat yourself. And it's kind of crazy, but that wasn't an issue at all. But they set it up. They worded it correctly. So everything, make sure everything's good and legal, and so I can get what I need. And then I did the research when it came to the stem cell facility, because I just, I fight and I pay attention to a lot of high level fighters, and I see them going there. Kamaru Usman went there, I noticed. And then I actually had trained with Frank Yeager before, and I seen that he had went there. and certain people. So I was like, okay, let me look into this. And then when I called them, they said that they specialize in spinal cord. That's their specialty. So I said, okay, cool, let's do it.
And where's it at again? What country or what? Yeah, where's it at?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
It's in Colombia.
Oh, nice.
So,
So you're gonna fly out for a week, or how long are you gonna stay over there?
yeah, so a week and then 4 times. So every treatment is 1 week long. So I start August 8th, stay there for a week. Then 3 months later, I go there again for a week. 3 months later again, rinse and repeat until I get my 4 times. I get 4 treatments. And yeah, it's the best place to go because unfortunately the way the states are is we use stem cells out here, but there's caps on how we can get the stem cells in the states and like harvest them. Whereas Colombia, there isn't. So Colombia, they're actually getting donations of umbilical cords and they're getting day-old stem cells. Where in the States, we're not allowed to use day-old stem cells. Sometimes we're using our own. Like there's stuff that you can find in like your nose and it's other weird things I was looking into. I mean, I'm not a scientist on the subject, so you got to take, I'm just paraphrasing stuff. But, it's not as advanced, basically, in terms of what can be out of the country. So that's why it's the best option to go out the country. More bang for your buck and then better, more advanced stem cells.
Yes. And how you sound pretty excited on Instagram. Like how does it feel like to know that you're going to be going to Colombia? How far have you ever left Philadelphia? What's the farthest you've been out of Philadelphia or United States?
Well, the farthest I've been was San Jose, just outside of the country.
Hey, that's where I'm from. I'm from San Jose.
Yeah. Yeah, I was far. I stayed up there. I was staying with, and it was just all fight related stuff so far. So I was out there with Ivan Batnich and training. I did like a little 4-month stint, but that's it. I was gonna fight in Canada for BTC at one point, but that didn't happen. So this will be my first time actually out of the country. Yeah. To go and see the world more. That's cool. But I mean, I look at it like this though. I would go to the moon or Siberia or anywhere barren if that's where the stem cells were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do what I had to do.
What keeps this mindset of to keep going? Like what drives you? Because I think it's not very common for people just to have this drive to keep going after everything that happened to you.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like it's all how I've always been. I've been like that with a lot of stuff. Just part of my mentality. I feel like it's necessary. It's what I like to do. Like when it comes to training and stuff, you get that all stripped from you. You gotta at least shoot for it. Try to get it back. That's just how I think about it. It's anything. I think anybody in my circumstance, I feel like most people would have that kind of outlook. You gotta try.
And do you think the training and the MMA like helped you with that mindset?
Yeah, just toughness. I'm not scared. Like even pain and stuff like that, you're used to going through it. So you're just like, all right, what do I got to do to push to get better? So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, it's just awesome that this kind of stuff exists. Like I said, this is all new technology. And you can actually look up some of the stuff that BioAccelerator does. That's the company name. That I've seen them get quadriplegics to move again, like upgrade from. So if you're a quadriplegic, you can't use your arms, so they're using like electrical wheelchairs. Like maybe they got a little bit of movement to where they can push a button. Then they're upgrading them to manual wheelchairs. That's just huge, seeing stuff like that. So I think that seeing the technology makes me have hope, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think with the technology and your mindset, I think you're going to go farther than anybody that like a regular person that this happened to. Right. And so what, is there anything else you need help with other than the stem cell research? Like, is there anything else that as fans that we could help you with?
I mean, I think the shirts might still be available and stuff, but not. And I mean, I don't want to ask for more than what I need. I pay for the treatment.
How do we support? Basically, how do we support you?
Yeah, just watch my journey. Just go follow me at the Suitcase Kid. I think it's the _Suitcase Kid. And just watch my journey, basically. Just watch me go ahead and try to tackle this thing and do what's impossible. Do what I've been told can't be done. Yeah. I think that I can accomplish that with a strong will and this new science. I'm just gonna push it to its limits. So just watch.
Fuck yeah, man. And coming up, like, I seen that you go to a bunch of events, to the MMA events. Are you going to keep on going to those shows and put your face out there and still, are you going to be in the MMA community still?
Yeah, I mean, I've been commentating for this local promotion, Art of War, just working on trying to find other avenues and still do what I like to do, because I still love fighting. I liked it because it was like, I like the science of it, the intricacy of detail. I didn't get into it for money or things like that. I got into it because it's more of I just enjoy the chess game and how it operates. Like, I could study tape all day. I just sit there and watch tape. I was always weird like that. So it's cool to talk on it, you know?
So you're going to be doing the Art of War every show, or are you they're going to have you pop in from here and there?
I'm going to do every show for now.
Nice.
But I like doing it. And it gets me out the house and I like watching fights though. I'm still just as excited. I still get that feeling. You know, once you fought once, you understand. You go to fights, you still get that backstage feeling a little bit almost. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Like, yeah, they take me up, I could do it. It's funny.
And I think that's awesome, man, because that's something I actually want to do too, is do commentating. But I think you have the determination to do it too. So I think I'm actually, right when I get off with you, I'm going to go look them up and see if they're on YouTube or something to hear you commentate.
No, they definitely are. You can just go to the page Mike Hawk, and he posts them up. The last Art of War, the most recent fights, you can hear me commentate. I think I got to work on a couple of things, just a little bit of too many pause words. You know, you do that sometimes. Where you're just like, or, you know, it just think like a general pause or like, keep saying that stuff. Just trying to get that under control and keep speaking fluently and concisely.
It's a different practice. Well, I just spit right now. No, it's a different practice. It's way different from fighting. Like, you could talk about fighting, think about fighting, watch fighting all day, but when you have to actually talk to a mic about it, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you like just watching fights and trying to break them down now, or to yourself, or what are you doing to practice?
I've always did that. I just think now when I do watch, I'm keying more in on the commentary sometimes more than somebody might. I'm really trying to listen to John Anik or Joe Rogan or whoever's commentating whatever fights, or even if I'm watching like Bellator, Big John, any of them guys, just trying to listen into how they're doing what they're doing and see what I can take from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And is it something that you love? Like, do you see yourself doing this for a long time?
Not sure. I got to see what happens. I may probably, honestly, even if I could get back to health, I probably would still commentate stuff here and there because it's fun.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Eugene, for doing this. I appreciate it. I just said that's a filler word right there. No, but the stage is yours for the last few minutes to say where people could follow you. Any last words of encouragement for anybody out there that's gone through similar things as you? Just the stage is yours for whatever.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. All I can say is just follow me at the _Suitcase Kid for my Instagram and watch me conquer this thing. Just don't quit is what I can say to other people out there. And try to explore your options. Science is crazy now. It's like 20 years ago, it'd be like, this is a wrap. This is how it's going to be, and that's that. The technology was not the same in terms of the spine. It's kind of funny how you learn about that, how behind we are on the spinal cord compared to the rest of our body. But not to ramble on and stuff. Just
You're okay.
keep fighting. That's all you can do. You know, that's all you can do is keep fighting, trying your best, believe in the science, and believe in your hard work, and see what you can do. Try to push the limitations. That's it.
And hopefully I could have you back on when you come back from Colombia and see how everything went.
Yeah, no, I definitely will come on, show the progress. And I believe by my second or third trip out is where I can probably show some big results.
Oh yeah, man. And sorry, last question. Are you going to be is it going to have like a recovery time, or is it like you just get the shots and and that's it, or you have to recover from it?
No, it's pretty non-invasive. So no, I'll be hitting therapy pretty hard, and that's what you want to do. That's so. Yeah, this thing isn't like a miracle drug in a sense of like you're good once you get them. You got to still continue to work hard, go to physical therapy, try to get weight on my legs, still work out my upper body, still eat right. You got to take it serious to get the stem cells to take the best route in your system. Yeah. So, okay. But you hit the ground running basically.
Yeah. So it's just like just like steroids or something similar to that, where you got to work. Even though you take it, you can't just take it and expect results, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You still got to put in the time, proper science, proper effort towards. Because a lot of it's funny. It's just trying to do things with your legs that they always did, getting them on a stem bike and getting them to pedal with electrical help, putting weight on them, different things to get your legs to still try to communicate with your brain. And that's basically the healing process. It starts to, what can happen is that not everybody, but the brain will then regrow new nerve pathways. And that's just naturally without stem cells. So then with the stem cells, that's why it kind of maximizes it. It just tries to promote connectivity between my brain and the rest of it.
The brain it's such an interesting thing because I barely found out. I was talking to a doctor. I barely found out that the brain without the stem cells, like naturally the brain doesn't heal itself. It like you said, it sends different directions on how to, so moving the hand, like you're sending one, it's going through one direction when you're trying to move your hand, right? Like there's one way to do it. And then when you hit that, when you mess up that freeway that sends, I can't even talk right now. when you mess up that freeway that sends the signal to move your hand, it's gone, and then it creates a new direction to move that hand. And yeah. But with the stem cells, it actually heals the brain, right? Or heals the what's it called?
Well, they're gonna go right into my spine and then try to attack and try to get that nerve to regrow. Because if you can just connect them directly, that's what the stem cells, that's what's crazy about them, is that they can just become anything. So they can become muscle, tissue, nerves. So that's all they're trying to do is get the nerves to just reconnect. Because my legs still respond to like electrical stimulation and things like that. Like the muscles will still flare up. They kick from time to time, spasms. So because that happens, the nerves down there still work. They just need that reconnection, and they should be able to just go, slowly but surely do more of their regular thing. It's all just getting that freeway back, like you were explaining.
Yeah. And well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And go follow the Suitcase Kid, guys. I'll put all the links below. Thank you for doing this, Eugene.
You the man, brother. Thank you for supporting me from so far away, man. I appreciate it, man. It's
Hell yeah.
crazy.